Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 121. And today we just gonna talk about we're gonna I'm gonna talk about my music. That's what we're gonna talk about. I just bought this bomb ass plugin bundle and it comes with like four different vocal plugins, right? And for the longest time it's like my tracks were sounding real good, but vocally they wasn't they didn't have that polished sound to it, right? And so I bought this bundle for a pretty good price, and I was messing around with it the other night when I got it, because it took me a while to download it, you know. And so but the thing with me is like, bro, when I'm sitting here and I got my music program open, and I actually forget what time it is. Yeah, I don't really pay attention in the time. I don't really, I'm not really concerned about that. So I can spend 4, 5, 6 hours here. It will obviously not straight, but yeah, I can spend that much time here making beats and just lose track of time, bro. It's like that's just something that I love to do. One of my good friends, she was trying to talk shit because anybody who's been following me for over a year or who's watched my videos knows that I was supposed to release an album on Valentine's Day. Um, yeah, supposed to be released on Valentine's 2023. Obviously, I was working on the project for over a year, still working on it. I just had to go back and redo a lot of things because sometimes when you're emotionally involved in a situation, and it doesn't matter what it is, with me, music has always been an outlet. Writing has always been an outlet. Um, I'm never one to shy away from my emotions. I'm never one to sugarcoat things or try to make people feel comfortable. That just wasn't. That's just not in me. Like it's not gonna happen. You know, it's like yes, I love you. Yes, I got love for you. Yes, I got your back. All that shit. That's never that's never gonna change. But the one thing about me is that I'm gonna always keep it 100. You know, I'm gonna always say shit that you probably don't want to hear, but that you need to hear. Um, which brings me to this topic. This one person I know, and she's a beautiful soul. You know, this person's beautiful. Um, she has a problem with jumping into toxic relationships with black men after black men. And I'm not saying black. I'm not saying brothers that we the problem because we not. For the most part. And I was telling her something. And so me and her were talking in the DMs, because it was like we just having a conversation. And she said something, and I said, "Yo, so because she says that she's in the process of healing." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on with you?" And so she told me, like, "Yeah, you know what? I was dating this individual, yada yada yada." Basically, long story short, it was the same type of dude that she's normally used to dating that she dated again, and she got the same outcome, right? And I said, "Yo, I get it. These brothers won't leave you alone, but they toxic, and but I can't blame them for running after you because look at you, like you fine." But I said, having a body is not gonna keep, it's not gonna keep a man. I told her like, if your appearance is all you have to offer, then you can get the same result all the time. I cleaned it up obviously because I took that up except from 50 when 50 said, if your appearance is all you got to offer, you gonna do some whole shit. I didn't say that because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but at the same time, it's like, yo, it's like if you keep running into the same dudes, getting into the same type of situations and ending with the same results, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you, because it's like at a certain point in time, you have to take accountability for your lack of action or your lack of inaction. And you can't sit there and blame somebody else, you know, for the outcome that you put on yourself, right? To me, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, you don't you don't get to play victim in the situation that you created, and that situation was that, and you know, and she definitely took it the wrong way. um, and but when she responded, I read the message and I'm like, yeah, there's no point. Um, because people love to talk to me about everybody else and everybody else's issues, but when it comes to them, you know, I'm gonna treat it the same way. And a lot of people accuse me of throwing jabs at them. It's like, I'm not throwing jabs at you, man. Like, I'm just telling you from a guy's point of view. Is like, if that's all you got to offer, then don't get mad when you get treated that way. You can't. Because what you put out there is basically is what's gonna get shown back in your face. And I think that's true. I think a lot of people don't realize that, man. Like what you put out there into the universe, whether it's your personality, whether it's this, whether it's that, it's like all that shit plays a role. You don't get to put out that type of energy and expect something back. Like I don't get to put out certain types of energy and not expect some not expect some sort of kickback. I was talking to this one girl a couple weeks, whatever, and I was like, yo, well, I really want to take you out, this and this and that, yada yada yada, and so we made plans or whatever, or like the plans were made, but the plans wasn't set. So I'm talking to her, and she said, well, I gotta find a babysitter. I was like, okay, cool. I told her, yo, I'll go half with you on the babysitter, no problem. Because I thought about I wanted to see this girl. I was gonna pay half the bill for the babysitter, to take her out. Long story short, we ended up not going out for whatever reason. I was like, okay, whatever. And I told her, yo, okay, like, because I'm under the impression that because she told me that she didn't find a babysitter. And then she's like, oh, well, my roommate's gonna watch my kid. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, would you want to come over to my spot? And I'm not thinking sex or anything. I'm not implying that. I'm like, oh, it's 9:30 at night, and there's really nothing open, And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, cool. If you want to meet somewhere else, we can, or whatever. Just let me know. And she said, okay. She's okay, cool. I'll let you know. And I'm like, yeah. As soon as I got that text message back, I'm like, yeah, this going on with your day, bro. It ain't gonna happen. And I get up this morning, get a message from her, and she says, yeah, well, I fell asleep. Me being a nonchalant brother I am, I'm like, okay, cool. And it doesn't really deserve a response. Yeah, I mean, not on some disrespectful shit, but it's like it doesn't deserve a response. It's like this other girl that I was talking to. Ended up getting a phone number, texting her back and forth. She had this really bad habit of texting back like hours later. And so she was asking me questions. I ask her questions, and I'm not talking like, oh, it takes her like an hour or two to text back. I'm talking it took her like 8 hours to text me back. And I was like, so I asked her a question, and 8 hours later, she texts me back, and I'm like, it doesn't take you 8 hours to text somebody back, And the question was, I asked her, oh, so like, when was your last relationship? And she said 2 years ago. And I text back, being sarcastic was, I said, yeah, well, I'm beginning to see why, because it takes you 8 hours to text people back, and I wasn't trying to be malicious or anything. I was just joking. And she's like, well, I've been cordial, well, I've been courteous, like this entire time. And I'm like, It's not courteous. You know, I don't care how busy you are, what you go. It's like it doesn't take you 8 hours to text somebody back. You know, so. But I simply apologize, and I deleted the number because there's no point. It's like if you already showing me what you know what your mental capacity is, or what you think of, or what you think of this conversation, where it takes you 8 hours to text back, and you can't take a simple joke, and that says more about you than you realize, man. So it's like that's unfortunate because it's like, you know, when I date people, I date with intentions, and yeah, I just for whatever reason, the you know, but 8 hours of text back, bro. It's like anybody would get pissed up about that. It's like I used to work with this one guy, and his ex girlfriend, her friend had a tendency to answer her text messages, and when he found that out, he told me about it. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man. He's like her friend wouldn't answer her text message. He's like, that's not, you know, that's weird. Like, who does that, right? You know, so, but yeah, man, I think the energy that you put in a situation says a lot about you, you know? Whether it's you blowing off a date, whether it's you know, taking hours to text somebody back and it's a simple question, you know, it's nothing deep, you know, and then you get offended about it, you know, when somebody cracks the joke, and I'm like, yo, it's like, it's really not that big of an issue. It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, it's like, because I'm a jokester. Like, I'm a joke. You know, as simple as that. It's like, I'm the type of cat that's going to be busting jokes. You know, it's like, you know, do I mean nothing by it? Absolutely not. Like, but at the same time, am I going to sit there and, like, let you play with me? No. You know, I'm not going to do that. I think time is the one thing that's really, really valuable that none of us get back. I don't care how much money you make, you can't buy it back, you can't rent it. You know, it is what it is, right? So with that being said, man, value your time, value the people around you, value the people who want to spend time with you, and value your hobbies, your passions, your crafts. You know, I don't care if it's like me, if it's making beats. You know, it could be writing, it could be reading, it could be maybe you got a book you working on that you want to release, bro. Like, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, just go do it, light your soul on fire, you know? And lastly, if you in a relationship where your needs aren't being met, or you're not being fulfilled in a certain way, leave that shit. You know? Like, to the individuals that I talked about earlier, it's like, yo, it's like, if you if you're constantly getting the same results over and over and over again, maybe it's time for you to look in the mirror. Or because, you know, anything past 25, you know exactly what the fuck you're doing. And when I say 25, it's like that's when you know, prefrontal cortex is fully developed. That's where all your decision making, all your impulse, everything else, you know, is starts to mature. You know, and it's true. After age 25, you know, if you're still making the same mistakes 5, 10, you know, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, is like you haven't learned anything. And I think that's extremely, extremely sad. You know, if you're out there doing the same things, you know, getting the same results, you can't get mad at that because you're the one not putting in the work to, excuse me, to get better. And if you don't want to get better, you can't blame nobody else about the outcomes of your situations. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything in relationships. That could be friendships. That could be, you know, careers or whatever it is. I for one, I've outgrew people that I thought I was gonna rock with to the day that I died. You know, you know. I've outgrown people who I thought were solid from day one and they weren't. You know what I mean? It's like, or I've cultivated relationships with individuals that, the same energy wasn't reciprocated. So it's extremely important to realize what you're doing and who you're doing it with, and also too that, like I said before, time is the only thing that you can't get back. So to wrap this up, one of my homegirls in the gym, because I was supposed to move to Denver, right? And I ended up not moving to Denver because I got the job here, and the money I left on the table, it's minuscule. That's besides the point. But it was interesting because she asked me, like, "Hey, well, do you ever regret not moving back to the mainland?" And I said, "No, not really, because I lived there. But, I've experienced it. I said I can always, travel and book a flight. But at the end of the day, I get to come back to a place where most people spend their entire life to, just to vacation in for a week. You know." And I said, it's like you got to put that in perspective as well, because it's like, to me, that's extremely important. To not only to be living in a place like this. It's Hawaii, it's beautiful, it's everything, right? But to be as fortunate as I am, to be as successful as I am, and to show gratitude as much as I do, and that's the one thing I do as I get older. I'm always showing gratitude, even the people who can't even offer me anything in return, man. Um, I make it a point at work to know everybody's name, and I make it a point to be friendly with people. I make it a point to just overall be a good human being. I was talking to one of the janitors the other day at my job, and I treated him the same way I treat my supervisor. I was like, yo, I asked him, hey man, how's your day going? I think, you know, like, what's going on with you, this and this and that. And like the dude looked at me, he's like, bro, he's like, nobody really talks to me like that. I mean, like, yeah, brother, I'm different. you know, um, I just believe in being a good person, man. I believe in being a good person, and I believe that, we all make mistakes, but at the same point in time, we have to realize what we're doing, and we have to make the corrective changes to it. Because if you don't change, you're gonna make the same mistake over and over and over again. Um, and I think that's important to realize, man, because like I said before, you can't play the victim in every situation. I mean, and not that I was. I'm just saying in general that, yeah, a lot of the times, or you may think it's 100% their fault. One thing I was always told, and I told this to the people that I care about too, is that your emotions are 100% your responsibility. It's nobody else's. So if you can control your emotions, you can control the outcome of the situation. All right, y'all. This is about 18 and a half minutes of your life that you won't get back. Appreciate y'all. Hope y'all keeping it 4 P's. Private playing, positive pushing. See y'all next week. And like I always say, know your worth. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Ghost.